Hey guys, hope you're ready for some more of Fuminori and his meat vision. Some more Saya no Uta is coming at you now. Last time we had some fun events. We had Fuminori just crush Yo's heart. And then we had Saya kill Omi, whom she and Fuminori later ate together, which was nice, romantic, and an all-around great time for everyone. But let's cut the bullshit and get to more Saya. True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition. Chapter 4, The Monster in the University Hospital. Elite University Hospital research student K-san relates his shocking experiences. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at our hospital around the end of last spring. Many times, patients would wake up in the middle of the night screaming about nightmares. They all said that they had seen something unbelievably terrifying. I forgot how to talk. They had seen something unbelievably terrifying in their dreams, and many of them had to be sedated before they would sleep again. Some patients even transferred to other hospitals because of it. The weird thing was that all of the patients had exactly the same dream, a dream about some horribly disgusting monster standing by their bed and staring down at them. Wonder who it could be. But the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats hanging around the campus, looking for scraps from the students. One day, the cats suddenly started disappearing, and it wasn't that they'd stopped coming. It was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. Oh, I like cats too, Saya. And then, people stopped walking their dogs around. According to rumors, it wasn't that the owners were taking their dogs elsewhere, but that the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Organs that had been harvested for transplants kept disappearing from where they were being stored. Some people even came close to losing their jobs over it. You'd think they would lose their jobs over that. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 times that it happened. They tried to keep it from the research students, but we heard that it was a lot worse than that. People started spreading rumors that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could only have been made in the middle of the night, traces of something that had crawled down the hallway, or weird stains on the walls that seemed to be caused by something dripping through the ceiling. Lots of the late shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same days that patients had screamed about nightmares. There's one last story, one you could never mention inside the hospital. One day, the obstetrics department went totally crazy. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the night. If it were true, the police would have come and it would have been all over the news, but they say the big shots managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. These strange incidents suddenly stopped towards the end of the summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about it gives me the creeps. That's a cute little third-party interlude there. Got a phone going off. Nothing. This is the 3rd day that they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. There's no sign of her having returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Her parents have already filed a missing persons report. Well, you know, she'll probably just pop up somewhere like nothing happened. Yeah, I hope so, Yo replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course, but the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her mind as well. Yo hasn't seen Fuminori since then, since Fuminori hasn't made any effort to approach them. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2. I like how, Yo being shocked by Fuminori's actions is making her less sympathetic towards, Koji losing Omi, too. That's a cute parallel going. Hey, Tono, let's keep thinking. Isn't there somewhere Omi-chan might have gone? No, Koji answers evasively. I checked them all already. It's a lie, of course. Koji knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Their awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell, signaling the start of their next period. Well, I've gotta go. Yeah. If Koji isn't mistaken, Yo is supposed to have class next period too, but she continues to sit there, like she's in a trance. Unable to come up with anything to say, he reluctantly leaves the cafeteria. Both Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji, and both problems lead back to the exact same place. What the hell is Fuminori doing? Being a cool guy, of course. When Omi went missing, the first thing Koji did was question Fuminori. The last time he'd seen Omi was just before she'd stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind, after all. Fuminori had responded with blunt, unequivocal denial, and had acted as though he hadn't the slightest idea why Omi would have gone to his house. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him reduce Yo to tears. In the first place, did Fuminori actually make it to Fuminori's house? Did Omi actually make it to Fuminori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotions when she'd left, and might very well have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Yeah, Fuminori doesn't actually know what happened to her, unless he bothered to ask, but, he was hungry, there was good food, so that's not a situation you talk in, I suppose. Or perhaps you ran into trouble on the way. Koji concluded, or more accurately convinced himself, that one of these possibilities was the truth, subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility. In other words, the possibility that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi, and was involved with her disappearance. When questioned by the police, Koji only told the truth about Omi's destination up to the district and train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she'd planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but knew that Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. Fuminori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he told the police everything they needed to know. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. That's really nice of him, actually. That's a good friend thing to do. Of course, in this situation, it doesn't work out terribly well, I imagine, but, still, cool bro. I don't want my friends to keep the police off my tracks for when I cannibalize people, which I wouldn't do. But now the conflict has built up inside Koji without his notice, and only formless suspicion towards Fuminori cycles through his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps that is what allows him to catch sight of his friends back through the crowd of milling students. Fuminori. At first, Koji assumes that he's headed to the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he's instead going home. Strange, there should be required classes for medical students in the afternoon. Though he's initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts for only a second. Koji follows his friend, taking care to stay far enough behind that he won't be noticed. Oh, there's Fuminori, hanging around on the train. Fuminori wasn't going home, as became obvious when he boarded a train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess was that he was going to see his doctor at the Chi University Hospital, but Fuminori rode straight through the closest station. Where's he going? At first, Koji felt awfully foolish rebuking himself for tailing his friend like this, but his conscience felt silent as Fuminori's actions became more mysterious. Yeah, so Fuminori probably can't actually recognize him too well, which is fun. If he does notice him, that is. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth behind Fuminori's sudden transformation. Any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji is beginning to think that there must be something more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether or not Fuminori can be trusted. Fuminori gets off at a small station in a nondescript suburban area. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amidst the other disembarking passengers. Woo. The station has neither a traffic circle nor a shopping street in front of it. The area is quite desolate, possessing only a small bookstore, convenience store, and market. It's easy for Koji to keep Fuminori in view. Fuminori seems to know these streets, clearly intent on a single goal as he hurries through the residential neighborhood. Carved out of the hills, the area has many slopes, and here and there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escaped assimilation. Koji, who moved to Tokyo to attend school, is amazed that such a quiet place exists less than an hour out of the city. Before long, Fuminori reaches a house. Without ringing the bell or even knocking on the door, he vanishes inside as though sucked into a vacuum, leaving Koji to wonder how Fuminori can treat the house as his own. It's a nice-looking house. After waiting to see if Fuminori will come back out, Koji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. Ogai. Koji has never heard of anyone by that name among Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot, which, coupled with the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it has been long since abandoned. So, Ogai, if you guys don't remember, was the doctor that Fuminori believes is Saya's father, that he was asking Tanbo Ryoko, the psychiatrist, about. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch the front of the Ogai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rear exit. Chiding himself for not stocking up on cigarettes, Koji settles down on a bench to begin his stakeout. He's a smoker, that Koji. 1 hour passes, and then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence as twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against mounting impatience. He kills time by redialing Omi on his cell and sending her short text messages, but his efforts are as futile as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn deep blue and the streetlights come on, Fuminori finally emerges from the house and heads back towards the station with the same hurried stride. After some brief consideration, Koji decides that right now, investigating the house is more important than tailing Fuminori. Another thing I like about this game is how often we see perspective shifts, with us being with Koji now. Cool stuff. He rings the doorbell just to make sure. Receiving the expected silence in response, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door is not locked. What do you guys think is going to happen? The moment he enters the house, thick, stale air fills Koji's nostrils. Redolent of mold and dust, it's the unmistakable smell of a house that has long lain untouched. There's also a faint hint of something indescribable in the air, something reminiscent of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing. The power must be dead, or perhaps cut off. Koji uses his oil lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he can clearly see several brand new trails of footprints that could only have been made by shoes. They must be Fuminori's. Showing an equal lack of reservation, Koji also enters, with his shoes on. Oh man, this guy deserves to get eaten for that. I like how the game mentions the whole shoes thing. I know that's a big thing in Japanese culture, and you know where I grew up too, actually. Shoes go off in the house, but it's not a thing that comes up every conversation, you know? The lighter's flickering flame pushes back the deathly silence and gloom of the house. Koji is surprised to see evidence of life remaining. Everything from furniture to tableware and appliances is intact. Nothing seems to be missing. The thickness of the dust suggests that the house has been empty for several months, which means that the owner must have left with a little more than the clothes on his back. Could he have gone on a long vacation? The calendar in the den is still turned to April. Empty and silent, yet still exhibiting signs of life that was once lived there, the house reminds Koji of a passenger ship resting at the bottom of the sea. In the graveyard-like quiet, a sinister thought suddenly runs through his head. No one is living here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the owner left. Maybe he was killed, and his rotting corpse is right under my feet. Koji finds himself wanting a stronger light. A mag light in his hand would make him feel a lot better. Following what appear to be Fuminori's footprints, Koji ascends to the second floor, where he begins to catch the scent of paper in the stale air. It's the smell of old books, instantly familiar to anyone who has worked in an antique bookstore or library. The second floor turns out to be a study, its towering shelves packed with such a vast number of books that Koji fears for the stability of the floor. As a medical student himself, he is able to discern at a glance that this study belongs to a medical professional, and a high-level one at that. Judging by the content of the books, a smorgasbord of technical volumes far beyond a simple student, the owner must be more interested in research than clinical medicine. It appears that Fuminori spent most of his time here, the scattered dust making it clear that he was searching for something. He seems to have focused on going through the desk and file cabinet, as the contents of their drawers are in obvious disarray. A small pile of books on a side table catches his eye. Being next to the desk, they must have been the most frequently read. What sorts of books they are could shed light on the person who worked here. Koji frowns as he examines the 3 books. The old, leather-bound Western tomes are not scientific texts, but rather the kind of books you would expect to see in a glass case at a rare bookstore. The titles are equally mysterious. Traité de Chiffron appears to be about semiotics, but Ars Magna et Ultima is some kind of treatise on divination? Semiotics, I believe, is the study of how you acquire knowledge. I'm probably wrong on that. I will look that up later and correct myself in a future episode if needed. And then there's the Voynich manuscript, which appears to be a sort of picture book. When he pages through it, however, he finds line after line of utterly incomprehensible characters. Maybe it's some kind of cipher. So the Voynich manuscript is one of those books written in an invented language that still hasn't been cracked. And, yeah, pictures everywhere. And, being an old medieval book, there's just one copy of it in some museum somewhere, and it really pisses me off that you can't find a copy of it anywhere else, because it just seems like the coolest thing. That and Codex Seraphinianus together, you just put them on your nightstand, and you pretend you're cool with all your books in invented languages. Alright, let's move on. Whatever they are, they clearly have nothing to do with medicine, refuting Koji's earlier guess that Mr. Ogai was a doctor. Looking down, Koji suddenly notices the glint of something black and metallic underneath the chair. A pocket-sized maglite, quite out of place among all these dusty books. Fuminori must have brought it in. With slight relief, Koji exchanges his lighter for the maglite. Its tiny body emits a powerful white beam that casts away the darkness. His courage restored, he decides to explore the rest of the house. What's this? Koji notices something strange, something that was not visible in the lighter's weak flame. The slime. Especially thick on the doorknobs and stair banisters. These are no mere handprints. Dark, slimy stains are everywhere, like someone had their hands wrapped in greasy cloth. Looking closer, he sees what appear to be places where slime was splashed low on the walls and near the floor. It's almost as if a wet mop was run violently across the floor. He's surprised. So if we go with Saya saying that Ogai was her father, it does make sense that she would have lived here earlier. Are these more remnants of Ogai's life? No, these marks are much too strange. Koji begins to feel sick as he finds himself imagining the denizen of this place wandering around with filthy water dripping from its entire body. Finding the bedroom next to the study, Koji checks the closet on a hunch. He finds 2 empty suitcases, not what one would leave behind when going on a long vacation. A sudden chill runs through him, so whoever was living here is still somewhere inside the house. Suppressing the urge to flee, Koji goes back downstairs to check the first floor. If he finds a corpse, he'll have to call the police right away. He can get away with trespassing if he reports it first, but if they find the body later, it'll be awfully hard to explain his fingerprints all over the house. That is good thinking on Koji's part. The maglite reveals the den to be covered in even more slime than the rest of the house. The sofa looks as though it was dredged from the bottom of a swamp. In the kitchen, Koji takes one look at the sink and decides not to get any closer. He doesn't want any more fuel for his imagination. He reaches the door to the bathroom. A common scene from TV dramas flashes through his head. A suicide with slit wrists floating in a bathtub filled with water. And wasn't there a movie where a hitman butchers his victim's body in a bathroom? Yeah, that was just a movie, man. It's good. It's good. Koji steels himself and opens the doors slowly, shining his light into the ceramic bathtub that appears from the darkness like a white ghost. Dried flesh and blood clinging to the curved rib bones has turned the inside of the tub black. Koji puts one hand against the wall to steady himself as his legs threaten to buckle. Something is wrong, he realizes as he desperately tries to get his thoughts in order. Bones, but they're too small, and there are too many of them. They aren't human. After taking several deep breaths to calm himself, Koji enters the bathroom and examines the tub. The tub is half filled with small bones piled on top of each other like fallen leaves. Too small to be human, they appear to be from small animals like dogs, cats, mice, and sparrows. Even so, the quantity is mind-boggling. How many corpses would it take to produce this many bones? The bones have all been separated from each other, and it doesn't appear that the bodies were just thrown into the tub and left to rot. This is made clear by the many groove-like impressions left in each bone, marks left by teeth biting through flesh. Koji's sanity won't allow him to consider the possibility that a human could have done this. The owner of this house must have been keeping some sort of carnivorous animal as a pet, giving it the bones of small animals to eat and disposing of the remains in the bathtub. But why not dispose of the leftovers properly? They could have just been thrown out with the garbage, or was there something keeping him from leaving the house? The momentary relief Koji felt when he realized that the bones weren't human is once again under attack by the ever-deepening mystery permeating the house. And just what the hells was Fuminori doing here? Oh shit? What are you doing, Koji? Koji whirls around, his penlight revealing Fuminori's expressionless face. I am actually curious how Fuminori recognized him. You're trespassing, Koji. So are you, Koji replies, barely managing to speak over the pounding of his heart. Fuminori pushes past Koji and looks nonchalantly into the bathtub as though there's nothing strange about a tub filled with bones. I know the owner of this house. I was just asked to find something. You know them? Since when? Who are they? Koji doesn't want to believe that the old friendly Fuminori could have had contact with the denizens of this house. I'll introduce you one of these days, he says, turning to leave without even looking at Koji. I owe them my life, after all. Hey, Fuminori. With his heart finally beating normally again, Koji runs after Fuminori. Wait, are they the reason you've gotten so strange, all of the... Standing in the entrance, Fuminori glares coldly at Koji over his shoulder. The utter lack of emotion in his eyes gives Koji pause. You followed me, didn't you, Koji? With no possible excuse, Koji can only swallow under Fuminori's piercing stare. That's a nuisance. I'll ask you not to do it again. Fine. Fuminori walks away without another word, leaving Koji alone in the entrance. Until this moment, there was still a part of Koji that wanted to consider Sakisaka Fuminori a close friend. Now, however, there's only ice-cold terror. Does the Fuminori he knew no longer exist? Was the person who just stared Koji down an imposter wearing Fuminori's skin? Koji has begun to believe that it might be so. Woo, water is good. What a nuisance. Why does he insist on interfering? If he only spoke with me to exchange pleasantries, even I could bear it. But for him to stick his neck into my business just to satisfy his curiosity, he is clearly violating my privacy. Koji is a perfect example of someone who thinks that it's always good to take an interest in other people's affairs. He probably thinks that he's shown concern for me by prying into my personal life. He couldn't be more annoying. If he keeps interfering, I might have to find some way to deal with him. Like Saya said, I have to keep my search for Professor Ogai as secret as possible. Koji could ruin everything. Saya said that there would be nothing to help with the search, but I unexpectedly found many things of value in the professor's house. I didn't have time to fully examine the house today. At this rate, it'll probably take several days to go through the study alone. I'll have to go to and from the house a lot, but now Koji knows where it is. Will he keep making things difficult? Excuse me, Sakisaka-kun, a hair-raising voice calls as I'm about to enter my gate. Suppressing a shudder, I put on a fake smile and turn to face the writhing mass of rotten flesh that is staring at me with bulging eyes. Good evening, Sakisaka-san. Are you just getting home? Yes, I am. I really like the music in these scenes from Fuminori's perspective. It really reinforces the feeling of how far gone he is getting. Ah yes, this is my next-door neighbor Suzumi, a middle-aged painter, I think, who spends all day at home while his wife works. I haven't had much interaction with him, so why is he suddenly talking to me today? Have you gotten used to living alone?
Hi.
Yes, thank you for your help. I know it must be very difficult, but you're still young. You have to work hard to move on with your life.
Oh.
Yes. What is this? Did he stop me just to deliver a lecture? And an unemployed painter, too. With such a big house, it must be hard to take care of everything by yourself. Yes, I suppose I am having trouble. Why not at least hire a caretaker? Didn't your father have one? Yes, but I'm still a student and my funds are limited. Such an expense would be... I see. The flesh beast undulates foully, as though it still has something to say. Just looking at it is driving me close to the edge. It's good that Fuminori is able to read body language despite the meat vision. Even so, don't you think you should at least tend to your yard? I'd be happy to help.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'll manage on my own. Now I get it. He's worried that the unsightliness of my house might ruin the beauty of his own. Damned snob. Flashing a token smile, I retreat into the safety of my gate. I can feel Suzumi's eyes boring into my back all the way to the front door. Why won't everyone stay out of my life? I want to find a place free of other people, a place where I can live together with Saya. That's a sweet fantasy. Suzumi Yosuke sighs in annoyance as he watches the neighbor boy retreat into his house. What's with his attitude? Even while talking, he kept his eyes averted as though he was looking at something filthy. Has the eldest son of the Sakisaka family always been such an unpleasant young man? No, of course not. When his parents were still alive, he had been a normal youth, slightly introverted, yet sensitive. The unfamiliarity of living alone must be placing stress upon him. If this continues, he might develop mental problems. Or is it too late already? Yosuke wonders as he wearily gazes over the Sakisaka yard. Yeah, it's curious to think how much of Fuminori's behavior is him being driven mad and how much is inherent to whatever neurological thing he's got going. Even during dinner, Yosuke can't shake the neighboring house from his mind. What's wrong, honey? You look like something's bothering you. Yeah, I saw the young man from next door today. Next door? You mean Fuminori Oni-chan? That voice work for the little girl is so cute. Yeah, I spoke to him about that yard. I know. I wish he'd at least do something about that smell. The stink coming from the Sakisaka house grows worse each day, and the Suzumi family is at its wit's end. Could there be a dead cat or something in those bushes? Surely he must notice the smell coming from his own yard. He couldn't be leaving raw garbage out there, could he? No, surely not. No, I wouldn't put it past him now. Who knows what he's doing in there all day with the storm shutters closed? What kind of life is he leading? Did Oni-chan go crazy? You know it. Now, Hiromi, you mustn't say things like that. Honestly, with the way things are going, I'm starting to wonder if he's developed paranoia or something. Will he be alright? Unless he admits it and gets himself to a doctor soon. Who knows? The seconds crawl by, each tick of the clock compounding my agony. When I returned from the Ogai house, I was greeted by a silent, empty home. Saya had vanished without leaving any clue as to her whereabouts. It isn't rare for her to go for walks at night. I've often gone with her. However, such outings always take place in the middle of the night, when no one is around, and never last for more than 2 hours. Right now, it's 5 in the morning. Soon the sky will begin to show the first light of dawn. Even if she left right before I returned, she's still been gone for almost half a day. Unable to sleep, I can only wait in anguish. I tried to distract myself by painting more of the other rooms, but I couldn't concentrate on the work. If I had known this would happen, I would have left the Ogai house sooner. I wish I hadn't wasted time on Koji. If Saya doesn't return, the thought fills me with such panic that I want to tear my hair out. After its long absence, the terror of true loneliness is slowly crushing me. Yeah, I feel it. On that note, you guys should leave some comments on these videos, because I don't really know if they are being enjoyed or not. So, help me fight the terror of true loneliness, please. Leave a like and subscribe too. Nah, it's cool. At last the cowbell chimes and Saya's long-awaited "I'm home" rings out from the bottom of the stairs. As I jump out of bed in relief, all the mental stress that has built up through the night is released in a wave that threatens to sweep me off my feet. Ah, so tired, Saya says as she climbs the stairs. I knew going all the way there and back would be hard.
Saya,
where have you... My question trails off as I notice the thick bundles of paper that she's carrying under her arms. What are those? Your medical charts and surgery records. I went back to the hospital today. Saya all but drops her bundles on the floor, sending paper flying everywhere. Pulling her favorite cushion over, she collapses into it and stretches luxuriously. You walked all the way back from T University in the middle of the night? Sorry, she says, skillfully gathering the scattered papers together one by one. I meant to come back sooner, but there were so many files to go through. So I decided to just bring everything. It was so heavy. It's cute. Maybe I'm just tired, but I'm not understanding a word Saya is saying. Wait, what are you planning to do with all of this? What do you mean? I'm going to study them, of course, she replies, holding one MRI photograph after another up to the light. I'll have plenty of time to go over them here. At first, I think she's just playing around, but the occasional mutters of, better check this one. Oh, I see. And the like as she separates photos into the growing pile next to her makes me think that this might not be a joke after all. Can you understand this stuff? I learned a lot from Dad. I see. So that's how it is. No wonder it can't be fixed. It can't be fixed. By a human doctor, that is. I can't tell if she's being serious or not. Even for me, it'll probably be a little tough, she says offhandedly, even as her hands continue to shuffle papers. I'll have to try some things first. Yeah, so as far as Fuminori knows, Saya is just a human girl, so must be weird to hear. Watching more carefully, I realize that her eyes are scanning each page rapidly. So fast, in fact, that I was unable to notice it at first. Is it possible that Saya, a young girl, is trying to read, no, is actually reading my charts? Hey, Saya? Yeah, she answers coolly, looking up from the charts. I'm tired. Let's go to bed. Sure, Saya replies with a grin, if that's what you want. Tossing aside the papers she was sorting, she immediately starts to remove my clothes. Yep, here we go again. And I am sure you guys recognize this music too as the sex scene music, so let's get to it. It'll be fun. Hey. Come on, just once before bed, okay? Contrary to her appearance, Saya's appetite for sex would put any adult to shame. You could even say it's a little unnatural. She's not just passionate, she also has unlimited stamina, making me wonder where her slender body gets all the energy from. Never satisfied with letting me feast on her to my heart's content, she always uses me to pleasure herself until I'm forced to tap out. Hey, Saya, don't you think it's unhealthy to be doing this every day? I don't see how that would be unhealthy. Whatevs. Yeah? Are you sick, Fuminori? No, not me. My body's all grown up, so I'm fine. But you're still... Don't worry. Yeah, she does look very small. She laughs playfully as she pushes me onto the bed, the familiar sweet sensation of her weight and skin rendering me helpless. I am worried. We haven't even used any contraception. Oh dear. For some unfathomable reason, Saya is completely uninterested in such precautions. She doesn't just not use protection, she even insists that I ejaculate inside of her. Surely she must know the risks, which can only mean that she wants to get pregnant. Fuminori, she begins, staring straight into my eyes. You don't want me to have your children. How can I respond to that? Oh, imagine if your own kids were meat visioned to you, though. That would be terrible. It's not that. Your body is too small. Pregnancy's a serious burden, you know. I don't think you have to worry about that. Saya seems unsure how to reply, but not because she doesn't understand what I just said. Rather, the bemused look on her face makes it seem as though I'm the one not getting it. But I know you're just thinking of me, she says suddenly, her smile glowing with innocence. So I'm still happy. By the time I break the spell of her angelic smile, Saya has undone my belt and is removing my pants. Come on, Saya. Relax, she says teasingly as she bares my crotch and wraps her slender, white fingers around my cock and balls. Tonight, I'll do it so you don't have to worry. The feeling of her willowy, unblemished fingers embracing me is enough to fill me with twisted ecstasy and draw out my male instinct. Lewd. Seeing my response, Saya brings her face to my groin and lovingly wraps her lips around the head of my penis. My hips jerk involuntarily at the unexpected intense shock of her sucking hard on such a sensitive area. Did that hurt? She asks, looking timidly up at me as she soothingly strokes my shaft. This is fun to read. No, I'm fine. Oh, by the way, hands below your belt, you guys. Just where did Saya learn how to pleasure a man so well? I can't believe the precision and skill of her administrations. Her sinuous fingers are like snakes coiled around my manhood, their sensual undulations drawing desire forth from my loins. As if all 10 of her fingers weren't enough to drown me in pleasure, next she adds her lips and tongue. Wow, all 10 fingers. Oh, Fuminori's pretty ripped. The mind-blowing pleasure from this new stimulation instantly threatens to push me over the edge. Such lewd sounds. A damp heat different from that of her womb presses down on me from all directions. Looking down, I see my lust filling her tiny mouth, stretching the graceful lines of her cheek and jaw so far that I fear she might break. The sight makes me worry that she's pushing herself too far, but her tongue continues to mercilessly devour me like a kitten desperately sucking on her mother's teeth. Such sexual imagery, wow. As I watch, I begin to feel like I'm violating Saya's innocent, unsullied face. The feeling of breaking a taboo further increases my perverted ecstasy. In every man lurks the dark desire to spoil that which is beautiful. Saya's bewitching body, able to drive me mad every night, is perfectly designed to draw out such savage lusts. Man, I wonder how recording all of this slurping noises works. Like, did they just bring someone into the sound studio and have her stick oranges or whatever in her mouth? I can't hold it anymore. I'll come any second now. But where? When the moment comes, what will I do with this thing in Saya's mouth? Hey, wait, I'm going to... I try to pull out, but Saya doesn't let me. Why'd you try to pull out, man? She grabs my thighs and doubles the intensity of her sucking it, as if she's trying to pull me even deeper into her throat. Even though I'm worried about her, my body is already at its limit. As irresistible waves of pleasure sweep away my willpower, I unleash my pent-up seed deep into Saya's throat. What have I done? I feel like I'm about to panic. Regardless of the situation, I shouldn't have ejaculated into her mouth. Yeah, that's very rude, Fuminori. Christ. Even if Saya doesn't mind, what if she chokes on it? If she suffocates? That's actually a really sweet thing to be concerned about. Saya, however, pays no attention to my distress. Still clinging to my waist like a predator unwilling to relinquish its prey, she starts swallowing effortlessly like someone dying of hunger. What is she swallowing? The answer is obvious, of course, every last drop of the passion that I just disgorged. This is the first time I've ever had a girl do this to me. To be honest, I'm speechless with shock. Congrats, man. I've always been prejudiced against fellatio, thinking it to be something that perverted, sadistic men force women to do. But Saya... that was good from Minori. She looks up at me, answering my confusion by smiling like she just pulled the greatest prank of her life. Her small tongue darts out from her lips to lick away the last milky remnants around her mouth. That tongue was just licking my... cock. The thought sends a worrying jolt of pleasure to my brain. See? You don't have to worry if I do it like this. That's hardly the problem, but I have no idea how to respond. Hey, was it bad? Didn't it feel good? Hearing the sudden nervousness in Saya's voice, I hastily stammer, of course it felt good. In fact, it felt so good that I thought I'd go crazy. But I can't say that. But Saya, you don't have to swallow it. But I want it. She's even got the tilde there. That's so sweet. Suddenly distraught, Saya clings to me like a child who's just had her candy stolen from her. I want every last drop of it. I want it inside of me. Inside. So Saya really does want to bear my child. I'm not averse to the idea. I still think it might be too early, of course, but there isn't much point in worrying about my reputation now. Assuming that Saya and I will be left alone, I even welcome it. However, that only explains her appetite for normal sex. I still don't know why she wants to swallow during fellatio. Well, I suppose that what's impure or taboo differs from person to person, and I can't simply apply normal values to Saya. You don't like it? She gazes up at me pleadingly. How can I resist? I do like it. As long as you're okay with it, so am I. Saya smiles with relief and burrows contentedly into my chest. I love you, Fuminori, she purrs softly. With her body draped over mine, I become even more aware of how light and delicate she is. Can this tiny girl and I really live as husband and wife? After the question runs through my head, I feel a pang of self-loathing. How can I still be afraid after all that's happened? Saya's feelings are so earnest. How can I not accept them? I need to resolve once and for all to rid myself of the useless trappings of morality. Oh, that is such a dead inside person thing to say. Saya and I are all that matters. There's no point in worrying about what others think anymore. Although I suppose I'll still need to talk to Saya's guardian, of course. I seriously need to find Professor Ogai as soon as possible. That is such a cute motivation for searching for the guy. By the time I drift to sleep in exhaustion's comforting embrace, all doubts about Saya's actions have vanished from my mind. Whatever the case, all that matters is that she's returned to me. "2 p.m. For Suzumi Yosuke, this is the most fulfilling time of day. After seeing his wife and daughter off, taking care of the morning chores, and eating a leisurely lunch, it's finally time to sit down at his easel. He's not a particularly popular painter, and he would only hold an exhibition if he were hurting for money. However, the editorial design work that he does on the side ensures that there's always enough money to support his daily lifestyle." Oh, that's good, so he's not actually unemployed then. Alongside the salary his wife earns working for a magazine, they're still able to pay their mortgage, send their daughter to school, and still have plenty left over. Yosuke's life is perfect, leisurely and absent of want. He loves his house, considering it the symbol of his life. When he mows the lawn, polishes the windows and floors, and cleans the kitchen, toilet, and bath, he feels the same joy as he does when washing his own body. Just as he knows the length of his fingernails and the time since his last meal, he also knows everything about his house's condition, the status of every door, the freshness of every flower, the amount of ice in the ice tray, every last detail. This is his pride, and when he sits in his studio, smelling the turpentine and knowing that each element of his house is in perfect order, he is filled with the ultimate satisfaction. That's really nice. While trying to find the right combination of paints on his palette, he suddenly feels thirsty, but soon remembers that there isn't much orange juice left in the refrigerator. In fact, it's also about time to stock up on bath additive and powdered soap. He could get everything at the supermarket when he goes to shop for dinner, but it'll probably be pretty heavy. Now then, where should I leave off to go shopping? He wonders idly as he heads downstairs to the kitchen. Just then, a waft of air tickles the back of his neck, bringing him to a halt in the middle of the hallway. A breeze coming from somewhere, impossible. Every window in the house is closed. Yosuke shut them himself during his morning cleaning. Yosuke enters the living room, searching for the source of the wind. Something stinks. It's the same pungent smell of fetid swampland that emanates from the Sakisaka house. Could the wind be carrying it from the yard next door? Oh dear, I hope you guys are ready for some fun. The window facing the Sakisaka yard is open, its curtains billowing loosely in the gentle breeze. There's a hole in the glass next to the lock. It looks strange, like it was melted by some chemical instead of broken. Someone must have reached through the hole to unlock the window. Yosuke stands paralyzed, his heart pounding with anger, and even more so, with fear. He listens carefully, but hears nothing. Perhaps the intruder has already finished his business and left, but a burglar wouldn't have left the room untouched, would he? Maybe he heard Yosuke coming and hid somewhere. Yosuke realizes that his still wet palette knife is in his right hand. He must have forgotten to put it aside before going downstairs. He stares numbly at the knife for a moment, then decides that it's not enough protection. Instead, he grabs the ashtray sitting on top of the table. Made of thick, solid glass, it is big and heavy enough to serve as a blunt weapon. Come on, man, just get your gun. Or wait, not in America. The house that he has cleaned every inch of that he thought of as part of himself now seems like an entirely different world. Keenly aware of the thumping of his heart, Yosuke looks around the living room and sees little that could be used as a hiding place. The intruder must have gone either to the guest room or through the dining room to the kitchen. The kitchen is close to the stairs. If there had been movement, Yosuke would have noticed it when he came down, which means that the guest room is the most likely place. He shuffles over to the guest room door and prepares to slide it open. You'd think he would call the police or something too. But what is that stench? Could the breeze alone be carrying such a potent feeder? It's as if the odor is coming from inside the room. He steels himself and throws open the door. The straw-matted Japanese-style room is empty. There is a closet, but no one could fit in there. So the intruder already left. Yosuke relaxes, the exhaustion of sudden relief coming over him. And that's when something seizes his ankle. The instant he freezes in shock, his leg is yanked out from under him, sending him crashing to the floor. Stars explode behind his eyes as his head smacks against the door rail. The hand, if it can even be called that, wrapped around Yosuke's ankle extends all the way back to underneath the living room sofa. There are barely 5 centimeters between the sofa and the floor, but the intruder is able to hide in that tiny space. It can't possibly be human. Before the screaming Yosuke can regain his footing, countless hand-like things seize his arms and legs, rendering him helpless. Calm down. Don't be scared. The muffled, gurgling, voice-like sound is accompanied by the sensation of something cold and soft crawling on top of him. I want Saya to crawl on top of me. Hi, 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 is what he's saying. He's so happy. With his throat already seizing up, the panicked Yosuke can't even scream properly. Won't hurt, the hideous voice whispers in his ear. Don't be scared, it won't hurt. Thin tube-like appendages penetrate his ears and nose, wriggling deeper into his skull. Right before the horrifying sensation drives him mad, Yosuke loses consciousness. Thank you for taking the time to see us, Koji says, his humble bow concealing his surprise at the doctor's youth. Even without her light makeup, she wouldn't look a day over 30. She must be quite talented to be a leading neurosurgeon at such a young age. Yep, surprise, she's actually a neurosurgeon, not just, psychiatrist. Don't mention it, I was hoping someone like you two would come along. Her friendly smile belies the coldness one might expect from her overly refined beauty. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Dr. Tanbo, Sakisaka Fuminori-kun's attending physician. I'm Fuminori's friend, Tono Koji. This is Tsukuba Yo. Yo gives a quick bow, her expression apologetic. They had arrived at T University Medical Center and asked to see Fuminori's doctor. Koji and Yo had been prepared for rejection. They hadn't expected the ease with which they were able to see the doctor. You say you want to know what's wrong with Sakisaka-kun? Well, so do I. I see. He didn't come in for his checkup 2 days ago. I tried calling his home, but there was no answer. 2 days ago, the day Fuminori had been searching that mysterious abandoned house. Koji frowns, wondering what had been important enough to blow off his appointment. What's he like at school? He's totally screwed up. Seeing Yo's shoulders jerk out of the corner of his eye, Koji regrets not choosing his words more carefully. Since the accident, he's been like a completely different person. We have no idea what to do now, so we thought that talking to you might help. Are you medical students too? Yeah? Do you want to see his chart? You'd really show it to us. That seems like a breach of some privacy law or other. After gazing briefly at the incredulous Koji, Dr. Tanbo sighs and says, "It appears that someone wanted to see it, and without the hospital's permission, too. 2 nights ago, someone broke into the hospital and stole Sakisaka-kun's charts from the archives. Seriously." She stares hard at the astonished students, then shakes her head with a tired smirk. Well, it doesn't look like you two are involved. I'm relieved. Of course we aren't. However, the culprit must have had an interest in Sakisaka-kun's condition, or they wanted to erase his records. Either way, I can only assume that it was someone close to him. I see. An ominous thought flashes through Koji's mind. It couldn't have been Fuminori himself, could it? Koji looks at Dr. Tanbo and finds her staring right back at him, her expression grave. He realizes that she must be harboring the same suspicion. What do you think? Do you have any idea who among his associates might have done it? Perhaps Tanbo didn't have anyone in mind when she asked, but Koji's thoughts immediately fly to the eerie house that Fuminori led him to. I don't know if they're acquainted or not, but there's someone called Ogai, probably a doctor or Koji stops speaking as he sees the dramatic change that has come across Tanbo's face. You know him. Do you know when and where Sakisaka-kun first encountered that man? No, that's what I'd like to know. Doctor, just who is this Ogai? After remaining in pain silence for some time, Tanbo lets loose a heavy sigh. Alright, it's not like you couldn't find out on your own easily enough. Ogai Masahiko was a professor at this university. He was dismissed over 6 months ago, however, following several scandals. Scandals? What did he do? I can't say any more to outsiders. And anyway, it has nothing to do with Sakisaka-kun. Koji has no argument with which to answer Tanbo's flat rejection. However, he can't shake the feeling that this Ogai person is the key to unraveling the mystery surrounding Fuminori. Doctor, he says, making up his mind. Sakisaka Fuminori might be involved in a crime. At this sudden declaration, both Tanbo and Yo raise their eyebrows. What do you mean? Someone went missing after going to see him. Fuminori denies any involvement, of course. You mean Naomi-chan? Koji is unable to bear the shock in Yo's voice. Sorry, Tsukuba. I couldn't tell you. Tanbo is frowning, her expression even more serious than before. Right now, this Ogai seems to be the center of Fuminori's attention. If we know who he is and what Fuminori is looking for, we might start to see the whole picture. Please tell us, Doctor, just what happened at this hospital. Dr. Tanbo hesitates for some time, refusing to make eye contact, but she finally shakes her head. I'm sorry. This is not something I can decide on my own. Doctor, give me some time. I'll do my own investigating now that I know that this can't be ignored. Please. Koji is out of options. All that's left is to trust this young doctor. It's frustrating, but there's a limit to what can be done for a friend. Let's exchange cell phone numbers. I'll call you if I learn anything, and you call me the moment anything changes. Yeah, alright. We are back to Yosuke's perspective now. What do you guys say? Should I cut it here and be a huge douche? Or... Now let's see this section. What though? What happened to me? Yosuke's consciousness returns slowly, as though rising from a bog. He's cold. No, he's hot. Something itches, like tepid tongues and cold slugs crawling all over his skin. What the hell's going on, he wonders as he timidly opens his eyes. Yep, this is what Yosuke sees now. I'm actually going to go back on what I just said a minute ago and call this episode here. This is another really good cliffhangery spot, and hope you guys are enjoying this Let's Play of Cyanoda, and catch you guys soon.